Everybody knows that guy who has been going to the gym or working out for years, but still looks exactly the same. And if you clicked on this video, you might be that guy. If you are, it's fine. I'm here to help you out. We're going to be covering how to actually train effectively and where some of the pitfalls I see guys slip into come up when it comes to their training effectiveness. Now, just before we get into the content, I want you to know who I am, know that you can trust me, know that I'm somebody who's actually practically applied this stuff, not just pulled it from a website article and started talking on a YouTube channel like a dummy, right? My name's Yochheim. I'm the co-owner of DefaultKings.com. Since 2019, we have worked with over 600 men and helped them lose anywhere from 10 to 188 pounds and actually build the consistency to keep it off long term. And one thing I don't normally add to my intros is we've actually led our clients to over 4,000 personal bests in the gym. I just got those statistics, which is pretty cool. So that means people hitting PRs with their workouts, right? Which is awesome and usually a symbol of, hey, we're lifting properly, we're training properly, we're growing muscle, we're building strength. So when it comes to really all things losing weight, fat loss, building muscle, strength, I tend to have a general idea what I'm talking about, and that's why I make these videos, to help people like yourself out. So let's dive into it. And it's important to first cover that I'm going to be operating under the assumption that you already have an effective plan or a blueprint. So really, step one to effective training is actually having a program. That's why I'm not even going to cover it. Because if you don't have that, get one. And get it from a professional. Don't get it from somebody that you know loosely who went to school for like biology or something loosely related to exercise science or physiology. Get it from a true professional who has worked with people, even if that means going and downloading one from the internet for free, but a professional made it. Right? Get some sort of plan designed by somebody who has proof of results. Right? Get a plan and execute it. Right? The execution is where people come up short. So we're operating under the assumption that you have a program that was created by a professional, but we're still not seeing the results that we want, and we've been doing it for months or years or something like that. Right? Plan in place. Where do we go from here? We have to think about form, intensity, and progressive overload. Okay, those are the three big philosophies. Form is an easy one. You need to actually be doing the movements that are in that blueprint, that plan. You need to be doing them properly. And if you're not sure that you're doing them properly, you aren't. Plain and simple. Right? When I go to back squat, I don't think about if I'm doing it properly. I know I'm doing it properly. I've done it for years. And I've had professionals help me fix it. So if you are doing a movement, you're like, I don't know if I'm doing this right. You're not. Film it, send it to that professional, right? Or a professional. Literally, there's some people that offer, hey, I'll do a form review for you for $50. Send me a video, I'll review it. Find a way to get your form reviewed to make sure that you're doing it properly. And if the professional that you are working with currently, let's say you have a personal trainer in a gym or something like that, if they can't give you an effective answer or they can't help you improve your form or have you leaving that session with confidence that you are doing it properly, fire them. They're not a good coach. If they can't specifically articulate and describe to you how to do a movement properly, they're not good at their jobs. And if they're not willing to do it, they're not much of a coach anyway. So you need to find somebody that can help you nail that form if you haven't already nailed it. So that's step number one, right? And we didn't even cover how injured you could get if you do form wrong, but that's a whole other topic, right? Get the form right. Number two, intensity, okay? This is the one where people really mess it up. If you look at any research on muscle growth, strength development, it will tell you the majority of the progress occurs in the final 3 reps, the 3 reps within failure. So if you are not taking yourself to within 3 reps of mechanical failure, you are leaving so many results on the table. And we have to understand that it's true mechanical failure. It's physically your body can't do it without breaking proper form, right? Mechanical failure. A lot of people get to mental or psychological failure before they get to physical failure and they quit. And then they wonder why they don't see results, right? They're doing their overhead press, something like that, and it starts to get hard and they're like, oh, I'm starting to feel burn. All right, cool. Mentally, they fatigued. Mentally, they were at failure. But physically, if somebody put a gun to their head and said, we've kidnapped your family, you have to get more reps, they probably had 5, 6, 7, 8 more reps left in the tank, physically. And it's the physical failure, or the physical within 3 reps of failure, where the bulk of your results are going to come from. And that's why people come up short, is they get to the mental failure before they get to the physical failure. And if you don't get to the physical failure, you're leaving so many results on the table. I'm not saying that you can't get results. I'm just saying they're going to be lackluster. And so once you've nailed the form, you have to nail the intensity game. You have to be able to actually push yourself to those final 3 reps that are within failure on your working sets. Now, there's nuance to this. I know there's going to be some power lifter or somebody like that, or some like Olympic lifter, some guy that competes in a strength sport that's going to come in and talk to me about percentages and deload weights and things like that. I get it. I've been in the game. I understand. I'm speaking to the people who are looking to lose weight, lose fat, and build muscle, right? I'm talking to the majority of the population, not the 1% of the population that's competing in a strength sport, right? So leave that out of the comments if you're one of those guys that was planning on doing that, right? I get it. We're speaking specifically to the people who are just getting started, probably have less than a few years of training under their belts, and they're not competing, right? They're just trying to get healthy, right? You need to be pushing yourself to that level of intensity, okay? Once you have done the form, the intensity, the last thing that you need to be doing is you need to be progressively overloading. You need to be giving the muscle through that specific range of motion, that specific movement that you're doing, whatever it is, if it's a bench press or a shoulder press, whatever motion, right? You need to be progressively overloading through that range of motion to continue to build muscle and build strength through that range of motion. Right? Whatever muscles are responsible for creating that range of motion, right? Like a bench press, what's responsible for creating that horizontal push? Right? It's our pecs, it's our delts, it's our triceps. So if we want to add muscle to our pecs, our delts, and our triceps through the range of motion of a bench press, we need to progressively overload the bench press. Okay, what is progressive overload? Progressive overload is increasing the total volume that you're doing, generally on a week-to-week basis. It doesn't have to be week-to-week, but it's generally the most practical way to do it. And total volume is just a simple equation. It's sets times reps times weight. So if you did 3 sets of 10 reps of 100 pounds, that would be 3,000. So next time you come in and you do that again, let's say it was bench press, you want to go more than 3,000 on your total volume. And you can improve any of those 3 levers, the sets, the reps, or the weight. Generally, I say keep the sets the same. I think it's easier to increase the reps and the weights. Most of the time you don't need to add more sets. If you have a professional tell you need more sets, heed their advice, they're hands-on with your situation. If you were a client of ours, I would think about your situation as a whole and consider whether or not we need to add more sets. But in general, you don't need to add more sets. You need to add more reps and more weight. Okay. The question then becomes, okay, how do I know when to increase reps or increase weight? Well, it depends on the program, depends on the plan that you have, depends on your goals. But let's say in a reality where you have a very common rep scheme, let's say 3 sets of 8 to 15 reps, and the prescribed intensity for you is RIR 0, 0 reps left in the tank, true failure, what you would want to do is in that rep range of 8 to 15 reps, you want to hit that prescribed intensity of RIR 0 within that rep range. So you're trying to fail between 8 and 15 reps. If you don't hit mechanical failure until 18 reps above the prescribed rep range, you went too light. If you hit mechanical failure below 8 reps, below the prescribed rep range, you went too light. So you need to be hitting it right in the middle. And what you'll find is you will find that maybe you do 11 reps, 10 reps, and 9 reps. And quick side note, you should never be able to do the same amount of reps on the second set that you did on the first set if you really went to failure. So that's a tell. If on the first set you did 11 reps and on the second set you can do 11 reps again, physiologically that shouldn't occur if you actually went to mechanical failure on the first one. Back to the original point. What you'll find is if you did 11 reps, 10 reps, 9 reps, right, what you'll find is next week when you come in, you'll probably do 13 reps, 12 reps, 11 reps. You're slowly increasing your reps because you're getting stronger week over week. And eventually you'll get to a point where you hit 15 reps on your first set. That is in which you should increase the weight because you've now capped out your rep range. You were prescribed 8 to 15 reps. When you did it the first week, on the first set you hit 10 reps. On the third week you hit 12. On the fifth week you hit 15. It's now time to increase the weight you're using. And what will happen is when you increase the weight, you will drop back down in reps and you'll likely go back towards the bottom of that rep range. Once you go back towards the bottom of that rep range, you continue to increase the reps week after week until you hit the top of the rep range. Once you hit the top of the rep range, you increase the weight and you'll come back down. right? And that's how you progressively overload over time. Now, again, there's nuance here. There's percentage-based lifting, which at some point makes sense, but for beginners and 99% of the people watching this video, don't worry about it. There are deload weeks, which are very, very valid concern, especially in a competitive environment, or if you're an athlete. When I was working with collegiate athletes and professional athletes and a performance enhancement specialist, that's a big deal because we have to manage volume in a season. But for the everyday guy who's either maybe like a business owner or an entrepreneur or a professional, they have some sort of demanding profession and a family, and they're not competing in lifting, we don't really need to get into percentage-based lifting. And really, in my opinion, we don't really need to get into deloads because life has a tendency to deal busy people deloads. What I mean by that is you have family vacation, and now you have to do body weight workouts for a week because you don't have a gym. Okay, there was your deload. Right? You have a business networking event, and you're not going to have access to a gym because you're going to be in a hotel. Okay, there you go. There was your deload week. Right? So generally, I don't prescribe deload weeks unless somebody has actually been nailing it to a T, and they haven't traveled and life hasn't dealt them one. But most of the time, if you're a busy human being, life will deal you a deload week. Okay, so yes, there's nuance here, but in general, you should be aiming to progressively overload week in and week out. Right, so those are the big pitfalls that I see with people training. Right, they're either doing the form wrong, they're doing the intensity wrong, or they're doing the progressive overload wrong. Okay, now again, just like in everything, fitness, weight loss, fat loss, muscle building, strength building, all of those domains, there is nuance. And I highly advise you to seek out a professional, just like you would in your financial life or your marriage life or anything like that. Seek out a professional. Right? And if you haven't dipped into the pocket before for this and you're unhappy with the results that you have in your fitness and your health, there's probably a direct correlation. Because I guarantee you in your business or in your professional life, you've sought out some sort of professional help, whether that be business mentors, whether that be you going to school and getting a degree that you paid 6 figures for. You've sought out professional help in every other area. But a lot of people are scared to seek out help in their health, right? Until it's too late. They get to the end of their life, they have health problems, they have medical bills that they can't avoid paying, when they could have avoided paying those just by paying on the front end for knowledge and professional insight of, hey, how do I actually go and train effectively and build muscle and build strength so I don't get hurt later in life. Okay, so if you haven't sought out professional help, do it. If you want that professional help to come from me, it doesn't have to, but if you wanted to, go to defaultkings.com, book a free fat loss assessment. You'll speak to either myself or Gabe Pluguez, the other owner of my company, or somebody else on our team, depending at the time you watch this video and depending on where we're at as a company, right? So you'll speak to one of us about how we can help you lose anywhere from 10 to 50 pounds or more and keep the weight off for the rest of your life. Now, if you enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe, send it to somebody else, do all the YouTube stuff or the podcast stuff, depending on where you're listening to this. Hope you have an amazing rest of your day. See you in the next one.